Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. We really do appreciate it this evening. We're getting used to, or at least I'm getting used to all the technologies. I think I have the Facebook Live up and running. Then my computer screen tells me, Warren, that it's running and it's streaming. So hopefully some people jump in. If you do jump in, we'll do our best to answer any questions. If you do happen to jump onto the chat or put anything into the comment section, we will do our best. First of all, let me introduce our very special guest this evening. I'm joined by Warren Modlin from NDV Performance Neurodynamic Vision out of California. Warren has been nothing but a fantastic trainer of ours. He's worked with all our coaches, helped us, him and his team have helped us to help our athletes to become better. And so he's provided all the education and background for us. So Warren, thank you very much for that. It's been a blessing and been awesome learning from you and listening to you. Maybe if you don't mind, I'm never the best at providing introductions, but if you don't mind, if you can give a little bit of background of yourself and a little bit of history, that'd be wonderful, our audience, to get to know you.
Yeah, sure. First of all, always great to chat to you. And whenever I can talk about neurodynamic and NDV performance, you know me, I'll chat the whole time. So my background with the weird accent starts in South Africa. And in fact, it's kind of my story starts at 10 years old when I had to play a soccer game and I was short-sighted. And my optometrist came down to the soccer field, gave me a pair of contact lenses just for that game. We won the game. And at 10 years old, I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So at that game, I decided to become an optometrist. So I graduated and practiced for 3 or 4 years in South Africa before moving to Canada, and started in the kind of my optical career working with contact lens company. I did a lot of practice management and private consulting after that 13, 14 years. About 10 years ago, I joined the leading sports vision company in the world, Acl, and worked there in product development up until about 2 years ago. And through that career, my understanding about what athletes need in order to get to their next level needed to progress from visual clarity, the ability just to wear a pair of corrective lenses or non-corrective but protective lenses, to how do we get performance vision? How do we get to the next level? And my understanding as I learned and grew with the category was that the brain is the center of this performance vision. The eyes, in fact, are connected to the brain. They are an outgrowth of the brain, right from, just the embryo development. So it's a brain function. Vision is a brain function. It's not an eye function. And that's what led me to neurodynamic vision, the ability for the brain to process all of this information compared to just the eyes looking around. And in understanding that and seeing the opportunity to get athletes to the next level, because at the elite level, if you can find an extra 5 or 10% of performance where strength and conditioning, rehab, recovery, nutrition are all about the same, everybody's working hard. Yeah. How can we find that little extra? And that's often what this competitive edge is. So that's the background. I'm sure later we'll talk about how we connect. But my passion is sport, my passion is optics, and certainly working with the best in the world in this is something that we hope to achieve.
And you are currently working with a lot of high-end figures at your location down in California.
Yeah, when we started NDV, my first step was to look for the best in the business. And Ryan Harrison, his late father, Dr. Bill Harrison, had started Slow the Game Down, which was a vision training concept that they created. Dr. Bill had been doing this since the early 70s and was working with major league teams for 30 years. Ryan, his son, joined him. And Ryan has 20 years of experience in working with athletes. Yeah. So when neurodynamic vision started, one of the first things we did was reach out to what I considered to be somebody who had the optometric experience as well as the athlete experience. And that was kind of the genesis of Ryan becoming our director of training.
Yeah.
We lean into him for the 40 plus years of experience. And the other big difference is optometry has done a great job in vision testing in the sports vision side of the business. And you absolutely need that good health, good vision, the right correction. But the athlete world is a very different world than just a pair of eyes, as we all know. So working with elite coaches added a new dimension to this concept, which has really given us a different perspective on how to train athletes to the next level. And working with the coach and the athlete gives us this unique opportunity to take them to the next level.
That's awesome. And I don't mean to take us off subject here, and hopefully I'm not, but, you know, we talk about elite athletes all the time. And I just like to maybe give the audience a definition of what that is from your perspective, number one. And number two, just for my clarity, when we work with kids, we're working with kids who are trying to make that elite team. They're trying to become elite athletes. So how do you see elite athletes, and how do you see that, you know, evolving for companies like myself and you? And I hope that question is clear.
No, it's a great question, because we consider elite being a athlete looking to get to the next level. Now, what that next level is based on the athlete. If you 10, 11, 12 and are looking to get to the next level, it might be preparing for a high school team. It might be freshmen looking to get onto JV or varsity. If you JV or varsity, it might be looking for a college placement. If you're a college athlete, it's getting to that semi-pro professional. Where I differentiate elite versus non-elite is really recreational versus getting to the next level. I think there's an absolute place for recreational. It's needed. Everybody should be doing something. But there's a motivation of the athlete, the coach, the commitment of often a parent or parents looking to get to the next level, and finding that inner drive is what I define as elite.
Yes.
So when we look at the total North American market, obviously Canada and US, you know, being different, but I look at that as the universe. There are 8.5 million or so student athletes looking to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Of the maybe 35 million or 40 million kids who play sport.
Okay.
So that maybe that gives you a little bit of a definition. The professional is outstanding. We love our professionals.
Yeah.
But the professionals are the best of the best and often have their careers and all of the things that go with that. So of course they're elite, but they're not exclusive. We don't differentiate that way. So it's a great question.
No, thank you. And thank you, because there's so many people like, and they're making, and again, this may lead to our next question. So my next question would have been, you know, why are we not seeing it just explode in this space? Why are we not seeing the neurocognitive vision training centers just erupt? Because everywhere I read and all the education is around, hey, the next step in the evolution of athletic performance is this piece.
Yeah.
So,
it's the business we're in, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But so why are we not blowing up? Why is not our, and I quite often, and I'm just going to throw this out before you answer, because what I see on my end is parents are thinking, I want more ice time. I want more field time. I want more this time, right? He's already doing performance training, or she's already doing performance training. And so it's how do we get that message out to, and I think that's why, maybe in my opinion, why it's not exploding yet. I'd love to get your thoughts. So I got to think about this part, because I'm like, oh.
I'll probably answer that in two ways. First of all, why sports vision? Why neurocognitive vision? And I look at maybe 4 areas. First of all, there is a significant scientific base of studies that have been done that prove that this category exists, it works, and there's great transferability of results. Duke University, under the direction of Dr. Greg Applebaum, has 480 plus articles already documented, and I would recommend people go there if they're interested in the scientific. We know professional organizations are using it at their very elite level. Now, they're keeping it a secret. It's their competitive advantage. There's been a recent explosion in new technology that helps us assess and train the neurocognitive side. Companies like NeuroTracker, Synaptic, Right Eye, NeuroFit, Reflection, ACHAMPS, Rocks, a number of different products, which are exciting, they're affordable, and they're accessible. And then there's new methodologies that we're learning about how to train, right? We don't want to overtrain our athletes, so we want to give them something that doesn't wear their body down. So I would put that in the column of why will this explode?
Yeah.
And you know, the body of evidence, the new technology, the professionals endorsing it, and our trainers looking for a new way, I think are exciting. Now, you asked the other side of that, why hasn't it exploded? And I think it hasn't exploded because awareness, understanding, and belief in this system is countered by, I want to do another swing, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Coaches and trainers wanting to do the same thing that they've done over and over again. And only recently are they learning. So the second one is education, right? How do we educate the science and the methodologies to get to that? The third is, I think vision science has kept it as vision science, 2 pairs of eyes in a head. I think we have to understand that it's an athlete, and an athlete's life is really tough. Yeah. They've got time constraints, they've got budget constraints. Obviously, through COVID has been tremendously difficult. But our vision science has kept it as a vision science. It's really a performance opportunity. Yeah. So if we look at why it hasn't, I think, you know, those areas are well defined. Why I think it explodes was what I said in the beginning. And I think that's the exciting part. Groups like Sharper Group being able to take that to the next level, to bring it to athletes is an exciting part.
No, it's awesome. Well, and thanks to your help for that. We really appreciate it. And I always like sharing with the audience from your perspective. We've done this once before where we talked about this, but specifically, like what exactly is neurodynamic vision and performance? Like, what is NDV performance?
Right.
Can you explain?
So I like to start describing it, first of all, in the athlete pyramid. So when we think of all the things an athlete needs, I think of skeletal muscular strength, and then cardiovascular conditioning, the fitness. Yes. I think we have to look at nutrition. And then in their pyramid, I would probably put rehab, recovery, sleep. What's been missing out of those is the sensory cognitive system. How do we train the eye, mind, body? Because almost everybody will tell you that 80% of all your sensory information is through your eyes. Yeah. If we train your eyes, remember what I said, we're training the brain. That's exactly right. So what we think of neurodynamic vision are those words. It's the brain, dynamic brain vision. And that's what it is. When I think of neurodynamic, right at the top of that pyramid, by the way, I put sports psychology, the mental game. But what connects the mental game from the physical is the sensory cognitive. Right. When I look at in the cognitive neurodynamic vision, I look at the fundamental getting the vision correct. Do you have the right prescription? Are you healthy? Do you have the right contact lenses? Do you have the right safety eyewear? Check that box. Then we've got to look at, how do you go about getting the visual skills? Do you have focus, accuracy skills? How do both eyes work together? And then we got the processing, the multitasking, the visual motor, and the perceptual cognitive.
Yeah.
And then how do we put it together in a game plan? Right. So those are the elements, those 4 elements of neurodynamic vision, working with the optometrist. Then how do we bring visual skills? How do we do the perceptual cognitive neuro side? And then how do we put it together in a game plan?
That's beautiful. That's awesome.
So we're excited about it because we see results, right?
No, absolutely. Listen, we're seeing magnificent results here as well. I think we were talking before we came on air. The athletes that are in at least weekly, if not bi-weekly, are just the results are skyrocketing through the roof. We don't get to see them perform in our location. Unfortunately, they go off back to their sports, back to their coaches. But one day, hopefully, when COVID's done, we can go check them out and watch them and see how they're doing. But I could tell you, I coach a bunch of tennis players, and the combination of their performance training and their neurocognitive training, their vision training, their performance has just jumped through. Now, again, no tournaments to play, but what I'm seeing on court, like they're getting there sooner, they're reacting. So the combination of the two has just been unbelievable.
But I think what you mentioned there is critical, is that there's no one thing that's going to get an athlete to the next level, right? It is this pyramid, it is the training, it is the nutrition, it is the rehab and recovery. And what we want to do is we want to add another stepping stone, another block in that pyramid. But I think we always have to step back and go, how do we best help our athlete get to the next level?
Yeah.
And that's where everything comes. So I love the idea that you mentioned about your training, your nutrition, your mindset, your psychology. At least now we can add in a unique element. And this element of the brain being the center of it so often comes in the conflict we see with athletes overthinking. We've got a couple of phrases that we use a lot of, and the one that we use a lot is you can't think and see at the same time.
Yeah.
And in fact, the audience can try this if you're watching it or if you watch us on tape, is if you try and do this little exercise where you focus on your finger and you focus on it and try and spell, let's just say California, I'm in California, and you focus on it and try and spell it. And then repeat that exercise, trying to spell it backwards. I'll give you a little bit of time and your audience some time. And if you try and spell it backwards, you've got to think about it and your eyes will often wander. And they'll look up and they'll look around. And that is a good demonstration of you can't think and see at the same time. So if we can bring our athletes to visual dominance, the 80% of all the sensory information is visual. If we can get them visual, if we can get it about the eyes and seeing, everything else then quietens down. The brain quietens. We've shut off the parent shouting, the coach shouting. You're working on a swing. You're working on all of these physical elements at the point of contact. It's too late to work on your swing. You got to let it happen.
Yeah.
And that's one of the applications that we think about is if your mind is quiet and you're visually dominant, you can react. And the stat that I'm just amazed about every time I say it, and is there's over 100 gigs of data per second being transferred to the brain through the eyes. Now that's 10 times more data than a 5G network will ever deliver. So to put it into perspective, per second, you just can't think that quickly. You can only react that quickly. Yeah. And when you look at what is our speed and what is our speed limit, your speed limit is the blink of an eye, right? If you're a batsman in baseball, a batter, I get my cricket and my baseball mixed up. If you're a batter, you only have about 0.42 seconds to react. right? If you're a soccer goalkeeper, you got about 0.5. If you're a tennis player, you've got less than half a second to react. A slap shot from the blue line, a bowler in cricket, it's the same amount of time as you blink your eye, about 0.4 seconds. Half of that is in physically how you react. So already 0.2 is gone.
Yeah.
So you only have 0.2 seconds to be able to see, decide, and then, or think and decide. And that's what we're training. We're training that split second decision because we've got the visual skills, and then we've got the visual processing in the brain, and then you can react.
Yeah. No, unbelievable. Unbelievable. What do you ever read the article on Neymar when they put the sensors on his brain or his head, right? And they're monitoring his brain, and he was doing the movie, and the sensors barely lit up. And then they did the same test on a recreational soccer player, and it was like magnificently red. It was like it was a vibrant show.
Yeah, and we see that even from our esport. Now, if you think about esport, I have no doubt that esport athletes are athletes.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't question that. I'm 100% convinced that if you've got 400 actions per minute and you're spending 10 plus hours in front of the screen competing and you're concentrating, so you've got esport, you've got tactical athletes, special operations force, traditional, extreme, and that's just in the athlete world. What we have there is the eyes working the whole time. It's the only way that you can get information in.
Yeah.
And those skills are taken for granted. So scanning a screen using memory instead of vision to remember a map is perceptual span. At night when an athlete goes to sleep and they replaying their highlight reel, visualization is a visual game. Right? It's so you see so many elements of vision, being able to soft focus and fine focus so you can get the release point, the point of contact. Another thing that Ryan and I use Ryan's comments the whole time is focus on the task at hand. What does it mean to focus on the task at hand? If you're a batter and I ask you, what is your job as you walk up to the plate? So many athletes, and you know this from tennis, so many athletes will tell you that they have to hit a winner, they have to get a run, they have to get a hit, they have to hit a home run, they have to move a runner. All of those are goals.
Yeah.
Those are not tasks. Your task at hand is to see.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, the outcome will be what the outcome is, because everything will flow from there. And that's the part of the magic of putting this game plan together. It's not just having the visual skills, but knowing how to use them.
How to use them, yeah. Do you want to go a little deeper there? That's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can go, I can go deep.
But I love it.
But having a visual plan for a game, what are you doing in warm up? How often do you see players warm up in order to warm up their brain, their eye, their swing? It's too late. That's a wasted warm-up. If I think about a batting practice, you're going to warm up. Your first round is getting your eye in, playing tennis, hitting. Your first session is not your warm-up. That's got to be for all the things you want to do. So what are you doing prior to that? Have you got your focus? Have you got your accuracy? Have you quietened your mind? Have you switched on your mind? All of those things is your pre-warmer.
Yeah.
Then what are you doing at the point of contact? As you walk up to the plate, as you're going to receive a serve, have you used your eyes to quieten the mind? And do you have the skills to do that? And then do you have the confidence to see and react? Yeah. And then what are you doing afterwards? How are you rating what you saw? Is the quality of vision? I love what Ryan often says is when you look at a ball, how many sides does a tennis ball have? It's an interesting question. What do you mean, how many sides? It's got four, top, bottom, left, and right. But you could take the back of the tennis ball and divide it into 9 quadrants. and which quadrant are you hitting? Are you hitting the bottom left? Are you hitting the bottom right? Just on the back of the ball.
Yeah.
Where's the shadow? What kind of spin are you seeing? And rating the quality of vision that you see is a phenomenal exercise.
Yeah.
So those are the areas that we want to talk about. We can't talk about that until you've got your skills up to and that skill development. We've got our professional athletes and our elite athletes working with us for 3 or 4 years. Each year, we go into a pre-season routine, get their skills up. Then we go to if it's off season, getting your skills up, pre-season to developing your routine. Then you've got your season, and then how do you recover?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you see this as well, as your athletes being worn out by the end of the season or in their break time. You need to recover. You've got shoulders and elbows and knees and back. And at our age,
battle. Yeah, it's a constant battle.
At our age, it's just recovery. But the idea that all of this can mean that your body relaxes, but your mind can be trained.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting part of what we're doing is neurodynamic vision. And we're talking about elite athletes. But as you get older, how do you keep your cognitive and your physical in shape? And it doesn't mean that you have to be an elite athlete. And we can have that conversation towards the end of this.
No, it's true. Even myself, just training inside the room, it's just a difference in how I perceive the world now and what I'm remembering and how, it's pretty wild. Where are you taking NDV? Where's the future? Where are we going on this crazy ride?
Where are we going? The future is limitless, is the way I look at it. But from an NDV standpoint, there's a lot of areas we want to explore. First is research, right? How do we do good research in order to continue to prove the success and our new techniques? Continuing education, I think training athletes is a must. Training parents.
Huge.
And training the trainer, right?
Yeah.
I think parents must recognize that there's an opportunity without stressing the athlete's body, that they can give them another competitive edge. If you're going to choose between a new racket, a new bat, a new glove, new cleats, all very physical opportunity and great to have.
Yeah.
But if you can't see it, the newest bat is not going to get you to hit it. The newest glove is not going to help you if your eyes aren't focused on the ball. So helping them understand that they can really give their kids, their elite athletes, a competitive edge through continuing education. We would love to continue to develop our new technology, our protocols, but primarily the experience we've had with Sharper Group is a good example of how we can grow this to reach our athletes, right? It's all very well us knowing our information and you and I talking, but you will take it to your athletes. And I know that already you've expanded into Vancouver. I think there's a group there, and Fredericton's are great. And I know we've got a long list of opportunities. So growing the footprint nationally in the US, internationally in Canada, and we've already got inquiries from Australia cricket, from European and Indian cricket. We've got US soccer and European soccer. I think there's an opportunity in optometry to really add the cognitive vision, what eye, mind, body, or visual cognitive to, and not only optometry. I think if we step back and look at physiotherapy, if we look at kinesiology, you've got the opportunity not to take away the medical expertise that an optometrist has, but let's step back and think about the patient, the client. The brain is such an important part of your life cycle. Kids who struggle with reading and ADHD, PST. There's an amazing amount of work being done in that area of how to quieten your emotions using vision training. As we go through, we've mentioned our athletes, but what I call our desk jockeys, right? We've got 35-year-olds, 45-year-olds, 3 digital screens, 15, 16 hours of coding. And the vision is under a lot of stress. And then we go to our, should I call them the worried well, right? Our boomers and our baby boomers who are worried about their cognitive decline and are not getting enough cognitive and physical exercise. And how do we put that together? Maybe not at the same intensity as our younger elite athletes, but combining decision-making, multitasking exercises, doing the vision training and the cognitive decision-making, the perceptual cognitive, I think is a huge upside. And then there's a lot of work. We don't do it, so I'm not claiming any benefits just because we haven't experimented yet or worked with the cognitive decline into, things like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, right? We don't know the potential effects, but adding that in a routine, but certainly concussions, which, we think about the traumatic brain injury and concussion. And if I can talk about that, which is, I think that the stats are between 1.6 and 3 million student athletes will have a concussion, 20%, 30%. If you play multiple sports, it goes up. And we know from all the science that vision training it won't prevent you getting hit, but it'll give you the perceptual advantage of moving away from being hit, right? Or dodging something. But if you do get a concussion and you can't raise your heart rate to a point where it brings on symptoms, we can maybe work with athletes in their vision abilities to reduce the symptoms, to reduce the time away, to help prepare the brain. And the work of a lot of great technologies, Ride-Eye jumps to mind, NeuroTracker jumps to mind, is where we can help the athletes recover much quicker through concussion. So does an athlete have a baseline? It's critical. I know athletes don't want to do the baseline, and this goes to professionals because it reflects badly and that they might get pulled from the game, but it's a safety issue.
It's your brain. Yeah.
If we can get a baseline and we know where you are after a concussion, we can get you quicker back on the field, but safely. And that's a critical element.
And there's some pretty cool technology out there that allow you to do some pretty awesome baseline testing now.
Absolutely.
Not the old King Devic. There's a lot of good things out there that you can now use from a technology perspective that are actually even better. So that's pretty cool. And then when you apply our type of training on that, whether it's through a physio, through us, through somebody, our type of training with the eyes, and along with their team working on their body, right? It's very powerful.
And I think you bring up an important point that I want to stress is that vision training, what we consider to be neurodynamic vision training, is not a substitute for good medical care.
No.
Right. So I think that's critically important. Whenever we get our athletes, have they had a recent eye exam? Are they medically clear? Because the eye is amazing. It's the only part of the body where you can see arteries and veins in their natural state. Right. We know that myopia, short-sightedness, has now moved from something like 21% of kids to more than 50%. It's a worldwide epidemic because of screens, because of the reading. So we want our athletes to have the best vision, and that vision will change. That's the realm of great medical care. Concussions, we want our doctors and our, the physios, the chiros, everybody to make sure the athletes are under good medical care. When they come to us, and us, I mean the neurodynamic vision teams, trainers, we want to take healthy athletes to the next level.
That's right.
If there's therapy, if there's any kind of risk, we want to work within
Medical.
that. Yeah, and I love one of an underrated part of this team is our athletic trainers. They have access to all of the great medical care, the athlete's world, the organization's best interests, and working with them, I think, is super valuable at college and obviously in a professional environment.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Can we talk quickly? I read an article, I think maybe Ryan had posted something around ACL injuries. So we do a lot of football. We're looking to do a lot of football programming and a lot of ACL injuries in there. How does it, and forgive me, but how does neurodynamic vision relate to that type of injury, and how can that maybe be reduced?
I think it comes down to balance and coordination, right? We're looking at how do we rehab our athletes' skeletal muscular system, but using balance and coordination, which comes from the eyes that lead the head, that lead the body. So by aligning your eye, mind, body, we get to more aligned recovery. I think that's probably I should stop there. I'm ahead of the game. But
sorry about that.
No, yeah. But I don't want to overstep my area of expertise.
No,
but I think that's the important part
right?
of what we want to do is the article was an outstanding article, and it shows you the depth of coordinated training. Yeah. And there's, again, some very easy equipment, affordable, accessible, and practical that can be included in any rehab. Yeah. So we don't fall into the trap of quads, hamstrings, calves, right? We want to be able to do proprioception. We want to be able to do balance and coordination. And this article added to that scientific body of evidence.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Okay, great. Hey, listen, couple other things. Your virtual training, you're doing lots of virtual training? You personally, the team?
Yeah, I shake my head because I wish we didn't have to do that. COVID has required everybody to adjust. Yeah. We actually see a lot of upside in our virtual training. So our remote training, we've created a 8-week training program where we work with athletes. Every week we add another visual skill, starting with focus. We add accuracy, field of view, eye tracking, multitasking, visual, motor, perceptual, cognitive, and a game plan. Tremendous results, because the athletes who now can't go out and play, they can't do the work that they used to, they can't go through their routine, can keep their mind sharp. Yeah. And what we're seeing is that when you go back and you are able to start doing the physical work, you're already in mid-season form.
You're ahead of the game.
And ahead of the game is a great way. You know, we use focus and ahead of the game and slow the game down as exactly those things. So the training has been very successful. We've managed to do an isolated group of 26 kids in Hawaii. We've got softball, we've got baseball. I know that you've got the opportunity to do a lot of tennis players, and we worked with some of the tennis players. We're going to start a soccer academy. So from a sports perspective,
soccer one too. Get a soccer one going, it'd be nice. Virtually.
Yeah. And again, soccer's got a different set of skills than maybe a high velocity, but the strategy and the perception, we think esports, once adopted, because we're seeing burnout of kids too young to burn out. Yeah. There's no reason why a 22-year-old is burnt out. No. If we can reduce their visual fatigue, there was a very interesting study done on college esport athletes, and 56% of them complained about visual stress, dry eye, screens. Visual stress, screens, blue light blocking, all of those elements, where 40% of them were neck, then 36 arm and wrist. So huge opportunity there, and everybody is remote. So getting those skills.
Yeah.
Distracted driving is another area where we see great success. So the remote program is exciting, and we would obviously invite coaches to reach out to you, and we can work together on that.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, my friend, that was a lot of information, I think. Anything else that you'd like to finish with or like to add to anybody who's going to be getting this? Most of it will be recording and they'll be joining. We want to leverage all this great information for our marketplace. So thank you.
Primarily, we're about the education and awareness and excitement of the category. So I would ask you to reach out. We've got neurodynamicvision.org. We've got ndvperformance.com, slowthegamedown.com, but also on our Facebook group and our Instagram. As with Sharper Group, we've got Neurodynamic and NDV Performance and Slow the Game Down. We do post a lot of education on that. And we invite everybody to join us. My LinkedIn is Warren Modlin. You can find me under Warren Modlin. Join us. If it's LinkedIn, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, you can phone me if you still know how to do that. But and I'm sure you'll post information, but it's about education.
Yeah.
And how can we customize a program to meet your budget, your time constraints, and your athlete's level of skill?
That's awesome, my friend. Listen, thank you so much. Just so everybody knows, we're going to post this. Warren will get a copy, obviously, of the recording. So you can use it however you like as well, my friend. But we're going to post it on our YouTube page once it's completed. And then all the information is there. And we'll point everybody to it. If you have any questions, comments, or rude remarks for us once it's there, please post them in the comments and we'll answer every single one that gets posted. And if you have any questions for Warren and need his contact information, we'll make sure it's posted there as well. Okay, so you have all that information. Warren, thank you so much for your time. It's really, really appreciated. Great job. We really appreciate all the efforts that you guys give us as a team, as a group. And I'm sure in turn the athletes really appreciate it because they get the best in class knowledge from you guys. So thank you so much for everything.
Thanks for being a big supporter. We certainly appreciate having a place for this to land.
Perfect. Now I got to go tell a couple of people why we weren't on Instagram Live and we're here. So I'll be messaging them right now.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much, Ron. You have a great, be safe and healthy.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And say hi to
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.